Welcome back to the Inspired Parenting Radio Show. I'm Sandie Sedgbeer, and I'm speaking with Learning Success Coach Mariaemma Pellulo-Willis about how knowing your children's learning styles can make all the difference to their success at school and in life. Mariaemma, tell us about the 5 important elements of learning styles that affect all learning, working, and communicating.
Sure. Well, there are 5 areas that we see, and that's disposition, modality, environment, interest, and talent. So your dispositions are like your learning personalities, and the modality is how you best take in information. The environment is your surroundings, whether it's noisy or quiet, and whether you're on the floor or sitting up, and the lighting, temperature, things like that. Your interests, of course, are the things that you love, things that you're very passionate about. And talents are just those sort of magical skills that you were born with, that you just have. So those are the 5 areas. And if you'd like, we can take a couple of those and really go into more detail. What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I'm really fascinated by the dispositions. Who developed these and decided that, we've got the performing, the producing, the inventing, etc.?
Yes. So these are crucial. And you are born with this, you're born with your personality, right? It's kind of hardwired. And so we've given them names that are pretty self-explanatory so that they're easy to remember. But basically, the performing person is just that. They need to move and do. And so they cannot learn sitting in the desk all day. I mean, they actually can't. So it's right there. There's a big strike against them because most classrooms, there are very, very few classrooms across the country or even the world where you're free to move around. So if you're sitting at the desk all day, starting right off when you're 4 or 5 years old, right there's a problem. So they need to move and do things. They need to use their whole bodies. And then besides that, in the performing category are people who are very athletic or perhaps actually love to perform, as in having an audience. They are usually very fun people. They just like to have a good time, and they're sort of bigger than life. Well, the other end is the thinking, creating, and that's the person that needs lots of quiet, alone time. Thinking, creating people are very much in their heads. They often are very artistic, or they write, or they're into music or drama, but it's not for the audience. It's for themselves. It's for the creativity and art of it. And they spend a lot of time daydreaming, doodling. So these are the kids who get in trouble for, quote, not paying attention, because you were off somewhere else in your head. And so these kids are labeled ADD very often. And if you have a perform and think create combination, which we have people like that, then that's where the ADHD is, the ADD plus the hyperactivity. This is where some of the labels come from. There are very few truly, medical diagnoses of ADD or hyperactivity. Most of them are these dispositions.
So tell us about the producing, the inventing, and the relating, inspiring.
Sure. So the inventing person, they ask lots of questions, even from when they're, little. How does this work? And what if I do this? And how did I get there? What happens if I take this off? So you might have some people in your family like that too.
Yes.
They ask tons of questions. Get in trouble for asking questions. It's like, we're not talking about that, or you're interrupting, or you're interrupting the class. Just don't do that. Wait till I'm finished. Or sometimes it's not even wait till I'm finished. It's just don't ask so many questions. And adults think those questions are annoying, where it's actually that's how that person learns. So, these things I'm saying about the personalities, it isn't just, oh, that's nice, that's their personality, but actually it affects how you learn. So if you're performing, you need to be moving while you're learning. And if you're inventing, you need to ask those questions. You need to experiment and kind of discover and putz around with things, take things apart, etc. If you're thinking, creating, you need that quiet, alone time to doodle and think and just be by yourself and let it all, settle in. If you're relating, inspiring, the best way for those people to learn is to collaborate with others, to talk and discuss. And relating, inspiring people are very sensitive to people's feelings and things being fair, and they're very interested in topics that have to do with social issues. Then the producing, I left that one to last because that's the perfect school person. And that's what the traditional classroom is set up for, the producing person. Now, there's nothing bad about the producing person. There's nothing bad or good about any of these. They're just different styles. But school is set up for the producing person, and that person likes schedules. Not just likes. They thrive on schedules. They are very plan-oriented. So, this is why you have the desks in rows and everybody sitting facing front. And it works for producing kids, but you know what? That's the lowest percentage of the population. So in any classroom, you have maybe 3 to perhaps 5 at the most producing students in a classroom. Everybody else is one of these other things.
Wow. Well, it must have been a producing person who set up the whole system then.
Oh, well, but you can see why. It's like you have one teacher at the front of the room with 30 or 40 kids, and it's like military. That's what it is. In fact, when the whole school thing started, one of the reasons for being so regimented was to train people to work in factories.
Yes, I've heard that.
So you can look that up, but that's what it is. The bell rings and you have a recess. The bell rings and you have this. The bell, it's getting them ready for the workforce and having everybody do exactly the same thing, exactly the same time. It doesn't work with human beings that are all different and are learning at different rates and different there are different developmental stages and different learning styles. So learning just doesn't happen that way.